Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to the final TTL race on the calendar. And of course, it couldn't be the final race without going out with a big bang. 100% race around Silverstone. It's the last piece of silverware that the drivers can win here in TTL F1's history. My name is Kieran McGinley, and of course, it wouldn't be a TTL stream without the lovely Mr. James here. James, how are you tonight?
Good evening, Kieran. I'm doing really well. How's yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. It's sort of a weird feeling. It's the end of an era, but it can be the beginning of a new one. So let's be fair and say, let's go out with a bang. But hopefully not too much of a bang, obviously. But anyway, Silverstone's always one of those tracks where I always forget the corner names. This was a track, it's pretty much the home of Formula 1. The very first race occurred here all the way back in 1950. And of course, the winner of that season ended up to be Nino Farina with a lowly, at the time, well, today's standards, 27 points. You barely get that for a race win nowadays, but obviously, so much has changed at the Silverstone circuit. The disused airfield, where it had 8 corners at its first Grand Prix, it now has around about 20, maybe even more than that. And yeah, it covers about 52 laps here and just over 300 kilometres as well, nearer 308 kilometres for the race distance, whereas back then would have been a lot more. But anyway, enough about the history. We've got plenty to talk about tonight as well. One-shot qualifying and a 100% race, and crucially, the drivers were given the option here whether to have the safety car turned on or turned off. They chose turned on. And luckily, we're not at Belgium, so there's no risk of anything like that happening at the top of Radion. However, we do have a chance to see some safety car action, and lots of drivers here have been prepping for the new season, prepping for the new game, and at the end of a game cycle like this, attendance seems to be a little bit shaky, which is understandable at the end of a game cycle, but hopefully we get some great action nonetheless. We've got 52 laps to fill the air with. I'm sure we'll find something to talk about. And James, we could talk about well, a whole lot really, including some of the guest drivers coming up from League 2.
Yeah, some of the guest drivers. It is going to be a very interesting perspective tonight, where we are going to have the current TTL F1 League 1 champion and the current TTL F1 League 2 champion in Kalsper and Mashiro battling it out on track tonight. If that doesn't whet your appetite, then I don't know what will, because honestly, Mashiro had a dominant season, Kalsper had a dominant season, and it really puts into perspective, adding to the likes of Schiaparelli, we've got Storm in as well, we've got Mays in as well from TTL F1 League 2. It's going to be fascinating to find out how these guys get on, and it's going to be interesting to see the strategies as well. 100% race, my first time commentating on one. It's going to be quite exciting, I think.
Yeah, I think you'll regret going into a 100% commentary box with myself, James, but you'll learn the hard way, just like other people have as well. As always, we've got Tom behind the scenes. I'd say give a wave, Tom, but you can't see him. But he's working hard on the graphics there for one last time in TTL F1. It has been a pleasure to work with him. The streams look so on point now compared to when I first started in Season 7, where, you know, it was basic editing and such the like. And, well, the races were recorded back then and then edited, ready for a Friday/Saturday release. So how times have changed, how far we've come as well in those 11 seasons. God, 11 seasons of TTL. That's just incredible. That's how long I've been here. I'm part of the furniture now, but there are drivers that have been here longer than I have. Mays is one of them. Spike as well is another. Glad to be seeing some veterans here as well as some fresh faces, you know, in the likes of Mashiro. He's a relatively new driver, so too is Conti. Schiaparelli as well, joining us for this one. Recon has been here for a couple of seasons now, already proven that he is up the pace there as well. Kalsper, the now, well, last champion, if you like, of TTL F1. That will go down in history now as the last drivers and constructors champion. He'll be on that name forevermore before the rebrand over to TTML. And make sure you are following the new Twitter account at TTML_F1. That is so freaky to say, but make sure you are tuning in for that one as well. But James, no championship points on the line, but there is a trophy on the line. Who is going to be the last Challenge Cup winner?
I've got to be honest, obviously we've had experienced guys in the past being part of the Challenge Cup, and I think we've only got 2 drivers previously that have won the Challenge Cup, Mashiro being one of them in League 2, and also Spike, a 2-time former Challenge Cup winner. I honestly don't think they will do it tonight. I think it could be Calsper or Schiaparelli. Just based on pace, I think Calsper, obviously, we've seen him in TTL F1 League 1 this season. Although he didn't win this race in Britain, which went to Ash Best, Rafa on pole as well that day, it is going to be quite interesting to see how Calsper gets on. And a bit of a shocker, I think, as well, just putting it out there. I think Cass might have a good night tonight. He's been promising quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, the Dane. I think tonight could be his night. He could pick up some very valuable points and possibly get himself some silverware.
Yeah, I've been a part of a Challenge Cup race before. It was TTFL quite a few seasons ago before that was eventually rebranded. But I finished 4th in a 100% race at Baku. And my goodness, did the laps just absolutely fly by. And I lost out on a chance to put myself in a history book at TTFL, I think by just under a second. I remember it was the Gort who beat me to that 3rd place. I remember it so vividly because I was so... It was a mix of relief and also a mix of I could have actually got it. But... You know, it happens. But I know what it's like to be in a 100% Challenge Cup race, to be on the pace as long as you possibly can. And let's see how the drivers face up here tonight. And obviously, back in those, well, it was F1 2017 when I did a Challenge Cup race. That's how long it's been since I've been, quote-unquote, competitive. So it's probably a wise decision to keep me up in the commentary box. I will say that. But... yeah, I'm looking forward to some good racing, 100% as well, with the safety car turned on, one-shot qualifying, and let's see how it all goes down. 13 drivers are with us here tonight, including those guest drivers. Just to go through them again, Mays is going to be driving in the Ferrari. Mashiro, who is a League 2 champion, I believe, if not so, a TTL F2 champion, I know that much. A promising driver looking to try and make his way through the order, especially in the rebrand in the new game. Storm as well in the Red Bull, and Conti in the Alfa Romeo. All good drivers there coming in to have one last blast here on TTL F1. And one-shot qualifying coming up, so there's only one chance you get to get the best position possible. And of course, on the formation lap, we'll sort of discuss what sort of strategy we could be seeing. But from the likes of it, from the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be a one-stop strategy. You're very rarely going to see someone put on a set of hard tyres, especially now and when they were the blue wall tyres back a couple of seasons ago. So yeah, very rare to see the hard tyres. It's more likely they're going to be softs and mediums. If there's a front wing off at turn 1, it's more likely they're going to go onto the medium tyres and then move on to the soft tyres at the end of the race. But we should probably talk a little bit about the track as well. 18 turns, 52 laps here tonight with 3.66 miles. That's 5.891 kilometres if that's your fancy. One-shot qualifying, and as you can see, a very varied circuit here. You've got Sector 1, there you can see in red, very aero-dependent. Then, of course, you've got the low-speed corners going through the loop as well, and then through Aintree. Second sector is very free-flowing, including those legendary corners of Copse, then Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, all the way now down towards Stowe Corner, where you head into the third sector. Very high-speed section there, just with the little bit of a chicane at the beginning of the club section, and very dependent on air and traction in the last corner there. You do not want to be rotating the rear tyres too much through that final corner. But hopefully we'll be riding on board with somebody in this qualifying session. And it is the Gort then who took away third place from me all those seasons ago in a TTL FL Challenge Cup race. He's making his way now inwards towards turn 1 and actually backs out here onto a little bit of a cruise here. But we're now heading through turn 2 onwards now towards turn 3 and trying to get the car turned in. And he's actually backed off quite a lot here. So let's see if we can ride on board with Mays here as he now runs all the way wide there. Be careful of doing that. You could invalidate your lap time through Aintree and now down the back straight, down towards the next left-hander. It's a fast, free-flowing left-hander here as we head in towards Brooklands here. Very misleading corner as well. Two ways you can take Luffield. You can go wide like Mays is doing to try and get the traction on the exit, or you can keep it tight to the inside and hit the apex in order to try and follow the racing line through. Then it's flat out through Woodcote and onwards now towards Copse Corner. The old turn 1, the new turn 9, fly through there, dropping a gear there in the Ferrari is Mays as he now goes all the way towards Maggot and Beckett here just trying to fly the car through now, dropping a gear each corner you come across here, down to 5th, and then it eventually down to 4th then for Mays as he makes his way through towards Chapel and now down the hangar straight as you head underneath the advertising boards. You can see a little bit overcast in the distance, but that shouldn't affect your sight and line of sight heading towards Stowe Corner. Down a couple of gears as you turn right in here. Be careful not to run too wide. There is some leniency running wide there, but push the corners too far and you'll risk invalidating the lap. Now taking it nice and easy through club section, now through the final corner, and there you can see Navy taking that pole position at 1:27.1. Several drivers disqualified from their lap time for invalidating it, and Mays cruising around gets 7th place on the grid, so nicely done.
Not too bad. I think Navy's on mediums as well with that qualification.
He is indeed. 27.1 from Navy then as he puts it on pole position. Cass in 2nd with Storm in 3rd, Vaporeon in 4th, Sean in 5th, Kelvin 6th and Mays in 7th. The Gort and Calspur retiring on their own accord with Mashiro, Conti, Recon and Chubbs all invalidating their lap time, and they will have to start respectively in those positions at the back. But lots to take away from this. Well, Navy on pole position on the medium tyres is a big one to take away from this.
Yeah, 300s ahead of Cass. I was on board with Cass for the majority of his lap, and he drove a very astute lap out there. I'm shocked by Storm as well, down in 3rd. Just a 10th and a half off, just over a 10th and a half off of Navy on a set of softs. For a League 2 driver, he's best of the guys from League 2. And I say, come on, Storm.
Well, let's see how it all pans out then. In towards the race we go, and we'll of course get you onto the formation lap very shortly here. A little bit overcast in the sky, so well, it is Britain. It wouldn't be a British Grand Prix without a little bit of a threat of rain, that is for sure. But 13 drivers out here ready to do battle over the 52 laps we await for the British Grand Prix, and of course 18 corners here at Silverstone. It's one of the legendary tracks on the calendar, a staple of the British Grand Prix, and Shapalele has left the session. Now I can still, is his name still up there? Yeah, he can still rejoin. I think he can anyway. I'm having a look here.
He rejoined at the end of qualifying, so I don't think his car will be on the grid.
Well, we'll have to see if 12 cars take the start or 13. That's such an awful time to have a disconnect like that. Shapalele has joined again, but as you see, I don't think his car's going to be on the grid, which is such a shame for him. And I think he understands now what the consequence of that session is. He did obviously qualify. I'm just trying to find his name up there. Well, there are 13 cars on the grid still. Well, let's see how it all goes down then. Anyway, we have a Renault there on pole position on the medium tyres here at Silverstone, and this probably is a very good time to take you through that strategy and an idea of what these drivers are going to be picking here today. Soft tyres, lap 20 to 24. Looks like it's going to be your pit window at the very start of this race, then to go on to the medium tyres. If you're running the medium tyres, your window opens lap 28 to 32 to get the soft tyres to the end of this race. That is, of course, if it is a dry race with no rain whatsoever, no safety car disruptions, nothing of the sort. If it's nice and safe here, if it's nice and cool running all the way to the checker flag, that is what you can expect. But of course, this is Formula One. Anything can happen, and it usually does. James, your first 100% race commentating over. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, to be honest. I think Navy on a set of mediums is going to try and lead the way, but watch out for Cass and Storm off the start. Vaporon as well could be very quick off the start. They could try and get Navy and nab him off the start. Watch out for Calspur down in 9th. I think he targeted maybe a last to first. Sadly, that hasn't worked out for him with the disqualifications that happened behind him. And just to speak about as well the tyre strategy in behind, Shiro, Conti, Recon and Chubbs all on different tyres. Mashiro, Conti, Recon, especially on a set of mediums, Chubbs on a set of softs. Conti, Recon, of course, being in that bottom 3 with Chubbs. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they get on. But honestly, I'm looking forward to this. And bring it on.
Bring it on, absolutely. As we saw Mashiro there, a previous 2-time winner of the Challenge Cup, and now you see Mays there, who is a previous winner of TTL F1 League 1, a race winner, that is. It's better than my record, that is for sure. But as we make our way now towards the grid, Navy is on pole position then for this Challenge Cup. Will he be able to hold on and give himself the chance to put himself in the record books to get another win on the board. 13 cars will start this race with Navy on pole position. Cass taking the front row as well as we await now the signal to start this race. The 5 lights will count up here, and it is 5 red lights at Silverstone. We are underway. What are the starts like? Lots of wheel spin from the second row of the grid. You can see there, Cass getting a good start, but it's already carnage in the background here as a Toro Rosso gets very wayward with the rear end there. Mashiro, Recon caught up there. Now, was that Vaporeon getting a little bit wayward there? And it is a safety car. That doesn't appear on my screen, but yes, a safety car has been deployed on the very first lap here of this Challenge Cup race. A messy start there from what looked like Vaporeon. It could have been Vaporeon. It could have been Calsper there, but definitely a rear tyre or two was spun up there, and it caused all sorts of carnage. So the drivers now will have to follow a delta until they reach the start-finish line, where they'll have to be picked up by the safety car. Now, we saw something similar happen to Mashiro all those seasons ago, where he obviously sped past the safety car, then he wasn't supposed to, so that should be a warning shot for Cass here as he looks to try and rejoin the back of that safety car queue. It's waiting for him on the exit of Aintree, so he's got to be careful approaching it there, especially at a high-speed section like that. But Cass does get the jump on Navy then, up towards first place. Navy then in second, Storm in third with Kelvin fourth. The Gort there running in fifth now. Macy's up to sixth with Chubbs in seventh from 13th place. Great start from the Haas driver, kept his head down in all that carnage. Sean then in eighth, but with front wing damage. Recon in ninth, Calsper with no front wing whatsoever in 10th. Vaporeon in 11th with a bit of front wing damage, in fact massive amount of front wing damage. He's still got a front wing, but more like a T-train more than anything else. Mashiro also having front wing damage on the left-hand side of his front wing, so it's going to be a very busy pit lane, but at least under the safety car, they'll be able to come in and get a free pit stop before they can join at the back of the safety car queue. And pretty much we'll go from a rolling start, except Cass is starting from first, May starting from sixth. In fact, there's lots of cars coming into the pits. Kelvin into the pits. Sean picking up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Now, I wonder if Kelvin has damage. Didn't look like he did. Neither did Mays, actually, but they're coming into the pits. Let's see what's going to happen here. There's a front wing ready in the Ferrari box there, so that will be changed then. Kelvin in the pits. He's going a set two of the hard tyres then, so it looked like the racing point here going to the end of the race on those hard tyres. That's a brave and bold call there from the racing point there. However, I've seen stranger things happen though, James.
I've seen stranger things happen as well. Sean as well, with all of the front wing changes being made, he's getting past Mays, Mashiro, and he's on a set of hard of compounder tyres as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if these guys can get 50 laps out of these tyres. I think they're going to stop rather than anything else. But it's quite interesting to see Kelvin and Sean. Sean obviously having front wing damage, but Kelvin not, so that's a bit of a tactical decision. Mays, Mashiro, Calsper, Vaporeon all getting caught up in that incident. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I didn't see what happened coming down through turn one. I mean, the safety car was out through turn one. That's how good this race has been so far.
Well, so far so good. Just the one retirement then of Conti, who is out of the Challenge Cup race. 12 runners left. But the plus side is those drivers that have pitted for repairs, more likely than not, will be able to rejoin the back of this queue here. So they'll be able to go racing once we get started. Only this time, it'll be a rolling start. But the Virtual Bird Mylander leading the way then on lap one. He's only a lap down. See if he gets a chance to come out again in this race there. But Cass leading the way. Navy second with Storm in third. The Gort is now in fourth place with Chubbs in fifth. Recon sixth, Kelvin seventh, Sean in eighth, Mays ninth, Mashiro rounding out the top 10, and Calsper and Vaporeon 11th and 12th in the Toro Rossos. Obviously, they had to double stack in that pit lane, so that's why Vaporeon is all the way back there. Now, normally the safety car is indicating down the hangar straight whether it's going to pit in, because the pit entrance is right there on the right-hand side. So we're going for at least one more lap, so that should be plenty of time for Vaporeon to catch up to the back of this queue. Obviously, he had to not only wait for the double stack, but also have a front wing change, change of tyres, everything like that. So he really had to wait a long time. But with another lap around here under safety car conditions, it looks like he'll be able to, well, catch up to the back of the queue. And a hectic start, that is for sure, under this safety car. Let's have a look and see the gains of positions, or loss of positions, if you like. Cass taking the race lead on that lap then through turn one, and that was a really important start. He got a great start off the line, a great launch too. Out of that grid box, and it got him up to the lead of the race. The Gort's up 4 places, Chubbs is up 8. That's a great start from the back of the grid for the Haas driver. Biggest losers then tied. It's Vaporeon who's got 8 places. That bit of light there made me see that as a 3, but it's actually 8 places that Vaporeon has lost. But it's a long, long way to go. We still have at least 300 kilometres of this race to go. It is not over, not by a long shot.
Definitely not. Don't count anyone out just yet. Vaporeon will get onto the back as well, or Vaporeon, I should say, should get onto the back. I'm saying your pronunciation of him now. Cass, though, in the meantime, is controlling the safety car. Obviously, the safety car will probably come in at the end of this lap. It normally indicates just through Chapel when it is going to be coming in. So watch out for the safety car to come in. And watch out for the DRS as well. Remember, the DRS will not be enabled until around lap 5 and until they go down the Wellington Straight. So that is when DRS will be enabled. So it's really old school fashioned F1 racing around one of the oldest tracks out there. 70 years old, 2 races of course in real life this season. Cass, can he do it from the front? We'll have to find out.
Well, one driver you need to watch out for is Mashira, the only driver on the grid that has previously won a Challenge Cup. So that's his title here that he wants to defend. A one-time winner of the Challenge Cup here. Let's see what Mashiro can do. Safety car then is in this lap. So Cass then takes control of the field. He's allowed to go at a steady pace as long as he doesn't brake check. But yeah, you can see bunching up here, desperately trying to get some heat into the tyres. Now, the safety car will pull into the pit lane, and once that happens, then once the safety cars cross the pit lane speed limiter line, he'll be able to go up to full speed. So it looks like Cass here has decided to go for it. No overtaking though until the start-finish line. He's gone very early, has Cass here. He could have held up the pack just a little bit, but he's decided not to. As we now head around the final corner here across the start-finish line, we are now back under green flag racing. Cass leads the way from Navy in second place, Storm in third. But there you can see Chubbs here putting some pressure on the Gort, then making his way through turn 1. The Haas driver here has to be careful, making his way now on towards turn 3. Looking now down the inside in towards turn 3. He's got the move done here, and the Gort here is now trying to hold on from Recon, who's trying to make his way now go around the outside. On board with the Renault now as he makes his way through Aintree and down the Wellington Straight. Of course, no DRS yet. It is online, of course. We haven't had 3 laps of racing. Recon here looking for a move down the inside in towards turn 7 there, and that is a lovely move from the Dutchman. He now makes his way through Luffield up into 5th place.
Yeah, Mashiva's just done the same in behind on Sean as well, and Mashiva's absolutely flying, and he's going to get Kelvin on the exit of Luffield, and now down the inside through Wooker. I mean, it's easy as you like. The Japanese man, the 2-time TTL F1 League 2 champion, is doing he's up to 7th, and Sean and Carlsberg side by side. Carlsberg gets him down the inside through Cops, and he just about gets the move done. So our defending League 1 champion is doing he's up to 9th. Good stuff.
Up to 9th place, but remember, Sean is on the hard tyres. He's going to have to make those last to the end of the race. Meanwhile, the racing point there goes very wide then in through Maggots and Beckett's, and Sean says, thank you very much, I'll have that position from you. Recon, meanwhile, making his way past Chubbs as we make our way through Stowe Corner, down through Vale. And Recon now in the Renault up to 4th place, having started on those medium tyres there. Chubbs will want to try and find that way back through on the soft tyres. Meanwhile, Mays then has got away past Kelvin, or has he? Not just yet then, as we head through Club Corner now, on through the long right-hander here, and the Ferrari's got the inside line. Mays now up to 10th place, with Kelvin now in 11th place. But yeah, Vaporeon again getting a little bit caught up on the restart. He finds himself a long way back.
He's got, I thought he had right side end plate damage, that's just my eyesight going, but Vaporeon really not liking this so far. Maybe a lack of practice coming into tonight, I think, is finding him out. I think he might be out for a Thursday night drive, I should say. Goodness me, I thought it was Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday night drive on a Thursday. Yeah, that makes sense. Chubbs, meanwhile, riding on board with him then as he makes his way through that long right-hander of Luffield, chasing down the Dutchman of Recon as we make our way now on towards Cops Corner here, the old turn 1. A terrifying corner if you get this one wrong. And Chubbs there gets very wide then on the exit. You can get punished by that by these in-game stewards. They are quite strict about that corner as we now make our way through Maggots and Beckett's. And Chubbs here will be looking to try and close in on Recon the best that he possibly can. These soft tyres, though, in these conditions, don't look like they're working too well. I mean, for Cass, they are working well, but for the likes of Storm and Chubbs, they're maybe struggling to get those tyres into the right temperature zone.
Yeah, mediums, I think, probably the better tyre to be on. Obviously, with this cloud cover, the mediums are going to be operating at their temperature compared to the softs, which have to operate at a warmer temperature. So if the sun was out, the softs would be coming into play. DRS is now enabled. Cass leading by about a second from Navy, Storm, Recon and Chubbs. Chubbs has had a very good start, I've got to be honest. He's trying to tackle the former champion in Recon, but Storm trying to defend off Recon as well. We could have potentially a 4-car battle for second, and we've got Mashiro on the back of Gort as well.
Yeah, Mashiro almost ran into the back of the Gort then going in towards turn 3, but luckily was able to take some evasive action there to make sure that he didn't. Castro leads the way by 1.2 seconds ahead of the Dutchman of Navy. Storm, meanwhile, in third place. Now, he said before this race start, it's going to be difficult for him because he's been playing the beta of 2020 to try and switch back to that. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough. Meanwhile, Mashiro and the Gort then going side by side all the way through Luffield.
Brilliant.
And then in through the long right-hander then. Mashiro still trying to hold on, and the Gort then has to give way as we make our way in towards turn 9 through Copse Corner. Mashiro gets the move done. He's up to P6.
Yeah, tiny little bit of contact actually with Mashiro, but I think it was due to Gort trying to get an overrun down the inside through Woodcut. Mashiro, though, is through. Recon, though, in the meantime, is on the back of Storm, and you can see the difference in these tyres, and Recon is really getting here on Storm, down towards Cop. Storm just moving across slightly, and now Recon has to force his way down the inside. Is the Renault going to be down the inside of Stowe? Storm is just about alongside, down in towards Vale. Not quite. And Recon's through, and he's up to third.
Yeah, nice move from Recon there. He's now up to third position. And, of course, they may be teammates in other seasons. They may have been teammates last season, in fact. But I think they're not going to be teammates here tonight. It is an individual championship, of course. Just the one race here tonight. If you win this one, you win the trophy. It is as simple as that. Kalsper, meanwhile, on the back of the Gort then as we make our way in towards turn 3 here as we head now towards the loop. Yep, it's really cool that through turn 4 as then you make your way through Aintree and down the Wellington Straight. Storm, meanwhile, on the back of Recon, but he's got to be careful about Chubbs behind in the Haas as we make our way now towards that long turn 7. So it goes on for ages, this one. Storm getting a little bit of understeer going through 7. Now going towards turn 8, you can see Recon there right on the back of his teammate and actually running a little bit wide, a little bit of understeer as he headed through Luffield there, but able to hold on to it as now they make their way through Woodcote and towards Copse Corner. That battle for second place is definitely heating up.
It is definitely heating up. Chubbs has got a much better run on Storm as well, and he's not going to go around the outside through Market to Beckett to see. I think Storm is going to be wise to back off this one. He jumps over the sausage curve, but Chubbs is through and he's up to fourth. That was easily going to be done, and I think it might be just about starting to rain.
Well, in the meantime, you see Recon there gets away past Navy and up now into second place. I don't think Navy put up too much of a fight there. Meanwhile, Kalsper trying to make his way through the field. The current champion here of TTL F1, the last champion, if you like, of TTL F1 League 1, makes his way now up to 7th place ahead of the Gort. But it is Cass still leading by 1.1 seconds ahead of Recon now. Recon will start to reel in the Ferrari driver.
Cash, you would think, actually, to try and pull out a bit of a gap, he would be probably about 2-3 seconds away. If this was a 50% race, obviously I think he would have more gain to try and gain on Recon. Obviously the tyres are not operating at the temperature, so that is why Recon is just within range, I think, to try and nab Cass. In the meantime, Chubbs is right on the back of Navy, coming through Entry and now down the Wellington Straight. It should be job done here for the Hassman. He's up the inside. Can he get the move done to Brooklands? He just about gets it done. A little bit of side-by-side contact there, but Chubbs is doing. He's up to third, and again showing a real good attitude to racing, especially so in the last few races in TTL F1 League 1 since he joined.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a promising debut so far. Let's see if we can carry that on through TTML at the start of a brand new game. And of course, a brand new game means it shuffles all around once again. Those that are quick last season may not be so quick this season. It is a learning curve for everybody in the first season. And if you could be the first to take advantage of the new handling, the new ERS, the new, well, how the game works, the new mechanics, then you've got a really good chance of taking the first title of a brand new game. Meanwhile, Mashiro closing and closing on Storm. You've also got a battle for the lead developing, but the two Red Bulls going side by side through Stowe, and I think Storm backs out of that very wisely. Mashiro now up to 5th place. Cass, meanwhile, is under pressure from Recon here. You can see Recon in one lap has really sized down that 1 second gap. He's all over the back of the Ferrari.
Recon looks like he's got an extra power unit on that car, honestly, because it's fantastic to see. He's right on the back of Cass, coming through Farm and Abbey, and now on the run towards Village. Cass just about hanging on, but it's just a matter of time, I think, our former champion to get through. You can see a little bit of wear on the left front. I wouldn't worry about that, to be honest. But Recon is on the back of the Dane, and he's hunting them down. Just watch the straight line speed coming down the straight here. I mean, you can see where this is going. Recon just turns it up into 500, and Recon's doing he's up the lead of the race.
Yeah, so now Recon leads the way here in the Challenge Cup in TTL F1 League 1. And then Recon, the Dutchman, takes the lead again. Cass in second, Chubbs in third, with Navy fourth, Mashiro in fifth place. He is really trying to fight his way through here. Navy is his next target, and you have to say, it's been a great start for Mashiro so far.
Yeah, Mashiro, obviously two-time champion and a former Challenge Cup winner as well. Chubb just went very wide there in the background of shot, but Mashiro is trying to catch Navy, and I think Navy actually is losing time to Chubbs as well. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2. Viporian has ran, I think, through Luffield, I think that is. So Mashiro trying to get onto the back of Navy. Cass is trying to come back at Recon. Don't think it's going to be quite close stuff. Is Mashiro going to be close enough, though, on the back of Navy? I don't think he is. He's going to be running out of the straight. And it still stays as it is. But watch out for Mashiro's progress. Just runs very wide there through Stoll. That is the first indication, I think, of those tyres beginning to go off.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep a good eye on that one. Meanwhile, Mays and Sean battling their way now in through Copse Corner now. Sean on the hard tyres, Mays on the mediums as they now make their way through Vale and onwards towards the club corner section. Mays on the inside here. Do you reckon Sean's going to way through? He's certainly trying to hold on as much as he possibly can, but Mays has got the move done. With all the camera jerking on my side, you missed the move that Mays did on Sean there, but it was a nice move. I think James can back me up on that one.
Yeah, very nice. Mays controlled the car coming through into the final two corners, and Mays just absolutely obliterated the inside of the curve and got the move done. He's up into ninth. We've got a little bit of contact. Carlsberg going for a move on Storm, and Machiro's gone through on Navy. Yeah,
Mashiro, lovely move there on the Renault. Carlsberg, meanwhile, ahead of Storm, but he gets a little bit sideways coming out of Luffield here. Now heading his way through the long right-hander. Onwards now towards Copse Corner. You've got Storm here right on the back of the Toro Rosso, and he wisely decides that Copse is not an overtaking opportunity. But Storm here hounding the back of the now champion of TTL F1 League 1. Navy now picking up a 3-second time penalty there in 5th place. But you can see there the drivers going through Chapel like to do a little bit of gardening on the inside there. They cut that little bit of grass there. Doesn't slow them down too much because you can see lots of drivers taking that line. Mays, meanwhile, and Sean has got back ahead of the Ferrari.
Yeah, he got it done down in towards Copse, I think. Mays just ran slightly wide, but now this is Mays' opportunity to come back at Sean. This could be a right ding-dong for the rest of the race. Mays trying to go right on the outside of Copse, but he could try and switch it down the inside. Sean just had a momentary lapse of opposite lock, but I think Sean is just about going to hang on. Top 7, by the way, are separated by 5.5 seconds out on track. Very consistent from everyone.
Absolutely, and you're watching Mays here, who was a previous Classic Cup winner. That is his only honours on the board, but like I say, it's more than I've got, that's for sure. Mays here will be looking to try and get a good result out of this one as he now makes his way through. But of course, Challenge Cup winners in the past include the likes of Sinclair. You've got Poe, who won twice in the past. Spike also twice. Lambo, as he was known then. Toby, as he's known now, a one-time winner alongside Blizzard and Jack as well. So winning here in the Challenge Cup, and you put yourself with some very, very good talent of drivers.
It is, and I think Recon is beginning to control this race out in front, so he could be looking to be another Challenge Cup winner tonight. 1.1 seconds the gap. The gap is increasing to Cass. He's just about within DRS range, however, he's just out of DRS range. Chubbs, in the meantime, is on the back of Cass, and again, Chubbs, I think, is looking quicker, arguably, than the front three at this stage. Chubbs is on the back of Cass, not getting the move done. Carlsberg, however, is on the back of Navy. These two had a right ding-dong back in America, I believe. And Carlsberg now is trying to fight Cass, his old rival in TTL F1 League 1.
Well, we'll see what Carlsberg can do here. Can he do the double this season? He's down in 6th place at the moment. He's going to find it tough, but he's got a great run through the final corner, looking up the inside in towards turn 1. Surely not here. Round the outside now of turn 2. He'll still have the inside line as we head towards turn 3, trying to grab the apex there. You can still see that the Renault is going to have the inside as we head through the loop now and on towards Aintree, but Carlsberg round the outside will have the better momentum. Round the outside he goes, and Carlsberg gets a superb move done on Navy. A move worthy of a champion, and boy has he proved it.
That's why he's the champion. That's all I'm going to say.
Great move there from Kalsper. He's now up to 5th place as he looks to try and chase down the double here tonight. Meanwhile, Cass is trying to close in on Chubbs ahead. In fact, Chubbs is now through. I'm wondering here that Cass is struggling a little bit. He got a big amount of understeer as he headed through Copse Corner, and that's not where you really want your understeer to start developing.
Yeah, I saw the move actually get done. Chubbs had a much superior run out of entry, got the move done halfway down the Wellington straight, and then just capitalised down the inside, got the move done, so he's up to 2nd. Cass is beginning to struggle, I fear, on these tyres, but arguably Recon is beginning to struggle as well. Chubbs is looking quicker out the top 3, as I alluded to a couple of laps ago. I think Chubbs could be landing himself in a good chance, possibly winning this thing.
Well, absolutely. Recon, you have to remember as well, a chance to add that championship to his name as well as the Drivers' Championship from 2 seasons ago. Of course, he was the reigning champion of this season, and obviously that crown was taken away at the final race when it was handed over to Kalsper. So you've got 2 champions racing against each other here tonight. It's just another night of TTL F1 League One, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. We've got some special guests, obviously, within the race. Mashiro was beginning to get into this as well. The Japanese man, 2-time TTL F1 League 2 champion, formerly known as TTSL, remember. So Mashiro has wrapped up 2 championships back-to-back. I think he might be one of the only drivers that I recall, certainly within TTL, to pick up a back-to-back champion.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right with that one. Meanwhile, Mays is looking to try and close in on Sean, then looking down the inside there. Sean gives him the room, now gets a lot of understeer as they now make their way through that left-hander of Brooklands, now going in towards Luffield, and you can see there 2 different lines being taken. Mays trying to snatch the apex, trying to get the traction down as well, as we now make our way all the way through Woodcote, and you can see Mays has got the inside line for Copse Corner. Surely there's only one thing Sean can do, and that's back out of it, but he doesn't. Tries to hang it around the outside. There was no way through there, and Mays takes away 9th place.
Yeah, slight lag back actually there by Sean, which forced Mays down the inside, and the Academy man gets past the main team driver. So Mays up into 9th position, but look who's on the back. Kelvin, who pitted early, remember, the Portuguese man, storms into the pits from 7th. In the meantime, Sean is going to dice his way, possibly pass down into Stowe on Mays, and he gets the inside line, and he's got the move done once again. So Sean and Mays having a right ding-dong, but Kelvin's coming into play as well.
Yeah, Kelvin on the hard tyres as well. He's got to watch out for him. Vaporeon pitted in about a lap or 2 earlier to put on a set of medium tyres. That should take him to the end of the race. Maybe it's a little bit of a grey area on that one. Storm has done the same though. He's now pitted in and goes on to a set of medium tyres, but he's got a lot of clear air on his side. He'll be able to pump in lap time after lap time on his own accord. Meanwhile, Recon leads then by 1.4 seconds ahead of Chubbs. Cass is in 3rd. Mashiro is hounding the Ferrari there in 4th place. Only 4 tenths separates them. Kalsper, you can see in the distance there in 5th place, having got the move done on Navy just a lap ago. Now builds a 1.6 second lead. The Gort then is in 7th with Sean in 8th. Mays keeping him close company alongside Kelvin for 8th, 9th and 10th. Storm rejoins in 11th place after making that stop, and Vaporeon is hoping and praying for another safety car in 12th place, 59 seconds back from Storm.
Well, he's just had the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:31.2. I think he's taken something like 2.5 seconds out of Kelvin out on track. So Vaporeon really beginning to try and get into this. Mashiro, though, is looking arguably quicker out of the guys between 2nd and 4th. He's now on the back of Cass. He's trying to reel in Chubbs in the meantime as well. The Japanese man, me and Suarez have talked about how much pace he's got in TTL F1 League 2, proven by him getting a champion, but I think that's a pure commentator's curse right there, so I'll shut up.
Well, luckily for Mashiro, we missed all of that, so he's lucky to get away with that one. Talk us through what happened, James.
He just ran wide through Farm and Abbey, trying to take a flat out on wearing soft comparative tyres. Really just took a flat out and overcommitted it and took out the marker board, the 150 marker board out of turn 2.
Yeah, and of course, if he can prove that was a mistake, which I'm sure he can, that will not be subject to a penalty. Obviously, you're not allowed to take out the brake marker boards on purpose, but if you can prove you were not in control of your car, then the stewards will waive the claim away. Cass, meanwhile, he's free to, at least for now, close in on Chubbs as we make our way now through turn 9. You can see how much the drivers are lifting off, especially on the soft tyres, compared to what they were doing at the start of this race.
It comes to show as well, the gap between Recon and Chubbs, 2.3 seconds. That gap was only 1.9, I think, last time around. So Recon now beginning to come into play, beginning to control this race out in front. But now the softs are beginning to wear off. Chubbs, Cass and Mashiro are going to have to try and go a little bit longer on these tyres before they pick on a set of medium compound of tyres. These weather conditions, though, are definitely not letting up. And I think that's why we're seeing Carlsberg, possibly even Navy, coming into this as well.
Yeah, and it's always interesting because the cloud cover means that in theory there's less track temperature, or at least less than what it should be with the sun shining down on the track. That could promote tyre graining, if you like, quote unquote, for the soft tyres. Where they can't get into the temperature range and where they're already worn, it can encourage even more tyre wear on the soft tyres. But the more resilient medium tyre, it kind of seems like the way to go at the moment, especially for Recon, who leads by 2.5 seconds.
Especially for Carlsberg as well. I mean, I've just run on board with him through turns 1 and 2. Flat out through there, the rest of the guys lifted off in front of him. Carlsberg, the defending champion, is beginning to come into play, and he's only a second off. If he's within 9/10, he'll have DRS, but he will join an ever-increasing DRS train here at Silverstone.
Absolutely, and he's got every single chance of trying to close in as well. You got Chubb second, Cass third, Mashiro fourth, and now Carlsberg in fifth. 4 cars battling away for second place in this race here. Lap 16 at the moment in this one, and Recon leads the way by 2.7 seconds ahead of Chubbs. We're riding on board with Cass as he makes his way through Chapel and onwards now down the hangar straight to try and close in on the Haas ahead of him, heading towards Stowe Corner. And you can see the more Chubbs is in front of Cass, he'll realise here that the more time they're losing. 2.9 now the gap between first and second place. Sean and May still locking horns.
Goodness me, Chubbs nearly went off actually coming through Stowe. The exit of Stowe, he just had a bit of opposite lock, and that's giving Cass a possible run up towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough, but Chubbs making a significant mistake, I think. Enough to make him lose time, certainly.
Absolutely, but you can see here Mashiro is trying to be on the back of Cass. Carlsberg, meanwhile, also trying to get onto the back of the Red Bull. You can see Mashiro just about stopping the car in time as we head through the loop and towards Aintree. Really important to keep the back end in check there as Mashiro struggled to do so. You can see all the cars here, all in formation as they make their way now down the Wellington Straight, all moving over to the left-hand side of the track in order to pick up that precious slipstream given off by Chubbs there as he makes his way now through Luffield for the 17th time in this race. But you can see the 4 of them at the moment, a little bit of a train between them, but I think all of them are just waiting for someone to make a mistake. Or I could say that with Carlsberg here, trying to go down the inside of the Red Bull, going in towards Copse Corner. Side by side they go. Just caught on to that one late here as we make our way now on towards Copse. On towards Maggotts and Beckett, and there's contact between Carlsberg and Mashiro, and Carlsberg shifts it into reverse gear very quickly to try and turn the car around. And unlike the move he made on Navy, unfortunately it didn't quite work out this time around, going side by side. And Cass, meanwhile, now he's free to try and make a move on Chubbs. Navy, in the meantime, moves up to P4 with Cass diving into the pit lane.
Yeah, Cass, rightfully so, I think, coming into the pit lane. Obviously going to go into a set of medium compound of tyres. Mashiro lets Carlsberg through. I honestly don't think that anyone was at fault, to be honest. Side by side through Maggotts and Beckett, never going to work. And Carlsberg, I think, may be the wrong one in that instant. But Mashiro has let him through, and Carlsberg now up to P4. So good sportsmanship shown. However, I don't feel it was Mashiro's fault. I thought Carlsberg trying to go up the inside was to blame, and a little bit of side-by-side contact. It's a racing incident, basically. Well,
Mashiro clearly thinks he's the one at fault, so he's let Carlsberg through. So that's what he thinks. I'm sure the stewards, if there is an inquiry, will back down here. Carlsberg has got the position. Mashiro's let him through. It was one or the other, but for me, that's settled now on track. Kelvin, meanwhile, now 3/10 behind Mays, as you can see just up ahead. Cass has rejoined just ahead of Sean on a brand new set of medium tyres. Now, that was crucial. He needed to stay away from that battle for 8th place as much as possible. And even if he just joined by a hair's breadth in front of Sean, that's all he needed. And that clear track ahead of him is his reward.
That is, and I think Cass is now beginning to demonstrate that. Obviously on fresher tyres, 32.6 seconds off the back. Think around here at Silverstone, the pit lane is something like, what, 27, 28 seconds normally? So I think Cass obviously will probably come out ahead of Chubbs, perhaps, if he gets the hammer down on these next few laps.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Mashiro, meanwhile, trying to close in on Kalsper to try and get a move done on the now champion of TTL F1 League 1, currently battling away for 4th place now. Kelvin, half a second back from Mays.
Yeah, Kalsper and Mashiro, I was just coming on to that. Both of them defending champions.
Well, there you go. So Mashiro, winner of TTL F1 League 2, Kalsper, winner of TTL F1 League 1. So these are the two drivers to be watching out for next season to see how well they do in a brand new season, a brand new league, a combination of TTL F1 and TMC to form the TTML TT Masters League. And of course, it might mean that these two face each other on track.
Which would be fantastic, and if they don't, they're going to face each other on track right now. Mashiro's just looking a little bit off the pace, but Kalsper is beginning to drag him along and maybe catch Navy, and these two could be on the back. Obviously, Navy is going to go quite a way on these set of mediums, probably to around mid-lap 20s, I think, and Mashiro will be hoping to try and get Kalsper to drag him along into this. Kalsper just running wide through Cops, but Mashiro trying to close in as well. This could be quite interesting.
It really could. Recon again leading the way then as we make our way through Cop's Corner with the Dutchman. Chubbs then is in 2nd place as he makes his way now down the hangar straight. Navy in 3rd with Kalsper and Mashiro 4th and 5th in the distance there. You've got the Gore in 6th, a little bit of a race of his own at the moment. 6 seconds behind Mashiro, but 13 seconds ahead of Cass at the moment. But Cass has stopped in this race. He's currently in 7th place with clear track ahead of him. Sean in 8th place right now, having to hold off Mays and Kelvin 8th and 9th and 10th, and that looks to me like there could be a little bit of a battle going on here down that hangar straight. Let's see, where will Sean go? He'll go to the inside to defend this one. Mays will have to go the long way round, leaves the door open. Kelvin spots it, but it's quickly closed by the Ferrari, and good reaction from Kelvin there to spot that gap closing, and in towards the club quarter section we go. Kelvin here is really trying to wait for his opportunity to find a way through.
These three have been very consistent in terms of timings, I think, out on track as well. Sean obviously defending off Mays. I don't think Mays has had an opportunity to get past because Sean, obviously on a set of hards, might be just beginning to work into contention. Mays and Kelvin, though, have got to play this smart. I think Mays especially has got to play this smart. He's on a wearing set on the mediums. Sean obviously is going to be inferior in terms of his tyres, but Mays, I think, has got to try and play this a little bit cool. He's stuck in a bit of a sandwich, but Kelvin, I don't think, has got the pace on the back of Mays, so he should worry about the car ahead rather than the car behind.
Well, short at the moment, we've got someone in the pit lane there. Vaporeon has retired from the race then. That looks like it's not in the pit lane, that's out on track.
Final corner.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Vaporeon then, he's decided to throw in the towel, and that will be his day done. 11 runners in this race now, as you can see his AI there pulls off to the side on the left-hand side. And Recon in the lead, that is, he makes his way through turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Kelvin still right on the back of Mays, looking to try and prioritise that long DRS straight down the hangar straight, but he runs a little bit wide there, going through Beckett. Lots of understeer, but now he's got some DRS to help him now down towards Stowe, but as long as Mays has the DRS as well, it's not going to help Kelvin too much.
They've got to worry as well because Storm is right on the back of these as well. 42.1 seconds off the lead of the race, but Storm is the main guy to watch out for. He's on a fresher set of tyres compared to everyone else ahead, including Sean, Mays and Kelvin. So Storm has got to try and put in the laps here. He's consistently looking quicker than these guys. Whether he can get past, though, is another thing.
Yeah, remember as well that Kelvin came in under that first lap safety car, not only to repair some damage, but also to put on a set of hard tyres that should get him to the end of this race. Now, that implies that either if there's going to be rain, it's forecast very late on into this race, or there's going to be no rain whatsoever. It's hard to... Oh, there is... Speaking of rain, there is rain falling on the circuit. I did not script that for 1 second, but it is starting to rain here at the British Grand Prix, and it wouldn't be the British Grand Prix without a little bit of a threat of rain.
It wouldn't, and to be honest, these conditions are perfect for this track to turn wet quite quickly out on track. And I think that's demonstrated. Mashiro has lost 1.8 seconds now on the back of Kalsper. It's nearly 2 seconds, in fact. And the rain is beginning to come down, and I already, on board with Storm, can visibly see a little bit of spray coming off some parts of the track. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. I think Inters is, what, 2-3 laps away.
Here comes Kelvin, though. He's got a great run through Maggots and Beckett's all the way now down the hanger straight on towards Stowe Corner. Has Kelvin finally got this move done? He's up the inside, gets onto the curb, though. Mays could have a look then down the inside as we head towards Vale and then towards Club Corner. Kelvin just about puts his car in exactly the right place, and the Racing Point then moves up a position. But look at Storm here, right on the back of the Ferrari as they make their way through the final corner, and Storm with the superior tyre grip has the inside line heading in towards the first corner, but has to back out of it. Meanwhile then Kalsper and Navy battling their way all the way through turn 8, and well, Kalsper gets the move done to James's absolute approval.
That was absolutely brilliant between them. Kalsper just came from an absolute mile back to come and get Navy. He's hunted him down, and he looks really like he's just joined the race. Kalsper is through and he's up to third, and that was commitment, and that was champion driving at its best.
Absolutely. Now Kalsper up to third. Maybe that bit of rain has spurred him on to try and get a new position, a newfound love in this race to try and get him up the order. It's going to be so crucial. If there's a chance to go onto the intermediate tyres, the drivers have to get this call absolutely right. Now, of course, it's a 100% race, so in theory, the track gets wetter at half the race pace that these guys are used to. So they're going to have to time this perfectly, and they're going to be asking Jeff constantly, when is it time?
Yeah, don't rely on us in the commentary box either for strategies. But Storm is on the back of Mays in the meantime, and Storm, obviously on fresher tyres, looks like he's just joined the race. Mays looks like he's got superior straight line speed. Now Storm puts up his ERS, but to no avail. Mays is just going to defend the position. Or is he? Because Storm has just nicked it up the inside, or has he? He's trying to get the move done. Red Bull Man trying to go around the outside of the Ferrari. It's like Verstappen and Vettel back in 2019. You know what happened there. Storm trying to go around the outside. But again, cautious Storm at his finest, not getting the way through on Mays.
Yeah, Storm actually got himself a little bit caught on the curb there. You can see instantly how nervous he was to put the power down, and also a lot of understeer on that curb as well. Storm, though, leaving it to turn 3 to try and have a go, but again, not quite there. All those that are on a fresh set of tyres are now trying to get the most out of their tyres right now. Storm is one of them. Cass is another. Looking to try and get these tyres now. Use them aggressively. Oh, we've got a spinner. Calvin's around. Calvin is around on his own. Storm, meanwhile, will try and use this as an opportunity to try and get past Mays then in towards that left-hander of Brooklyn as he's up the inside, but now he's on the outside of Luffield here, and in these tricky conditions, that's where you want to be, the outside of the corners as the rain starts to get a little bit heavier. Storm gets the better exit. He's on the outside here as we make our way through Woodcote. Now on towards Cops Corner. You can see there's Storm looking up the inside, but has to tuck into the slipstream of Mays here, and that's really not where you want to be here. Lots of understeer going through Cops Corner, lots of cars into the pits. More importantly, Recon stays out with Chubbs, Kalsper, Navy and Mashiro all into the pits. There's only one set of tyres they could possibly go on.
Yep, DRS I think will be disabled any second now. Storm is on the back of Mays in the meantime. We should see, I think within the next 30 seconds, maybe within the next minute, set of inters come on. Everyone going on a set of inters. Storm has got the move done on Mays in the meantime. Sails have passed him around the outside, down the hanger straight. He's got the move done and he's up into 9th position, runs wide. Both of these are not going to come into the pits, however. Quite an interesting decision, I think, from these two. They want to try and emulate Verstappen and Vettel, I think, in terms of this. But Storm has now, on fresher tyres, got the move done, and the DRS should soon be disabled.
Well, it's automatically disabled if you're on the intermediate tyres. So those that are on the intermediate tyres right now do not have access to that DRS, or at least that should be in the rulebook, or they do actually have the DRS available to them as we now make our way onwards there. And as James has predicted, DRS is now disabled, so it's an ideal time to change off of those tyres. For Recon, though, that's happened in the 3rd sector, so that's okay for him. But now, Chubbs and Kalsper, 39.7 is the gap. But you can see on board with Recon there, he's really fighting to keep that car under control then as we make our way in towards the pit lane on board with the former champion in TTL F1 League 1, trying to slow that car down all the way to 80 kilometers per hour. It is not easy to do in the dry, let alone in these conditions. And of course, it's one of the most painful pit lanes you could ever be sat in. Chubbs then gets a little bit wayward then halfway through Beckett, and Kalsper says, thank you very much, I'll take that position from you. He's now up to second place in these tricky conditions. Now he's got to focus on trying to get past Recon. Recon is just leaving his pit box now, but as we know here at Silverstone, it is a very painfully long pit lane here at 80 kilometers per hour. But where will Recon join? Can Kalsper take advantage of that undercut at all? But now Recon rejoins the pit lane here. You've got to be careful not to lose it over that crest. But he rejoins again comfortably in the lead. It'll be interesting to see how far ahead he is in these conditions. And we're not even at half race pace yet, or at half race distance.
Yeah, about 10 seconds. Cass, in the meantime, has just done a 2-for-1 on Mason Storm. Down the inside, in towards Stowe. Mason Storm obviously on mediums, but Cass has just sailed it down the inside. It's like a partner of the Red Sea for him, and he's just sailed through. He's up to 7th.
10.2 seconds, as you rightly pointed out, James, is the gap between Recon and Kalsper at this moment in time. We're just approaching half race distance, but we've got a car off in Beckett's there, and it is Kelvin in the Racing Point who's struggling in these conditions at this moment in time. Silverstone on intermediate tyres is always going to be tricky, but as we reach half distance at this moment in time, Recon is your race leader now. We have 27 laps to go, 26 and a bit if you're picky. If you're not including this lap, that is. The former champion of TTL F1 League 1 leads the way, and who's in second place? The current one. I mean, you can't make this up.
You really can't make it up, I think, and Kalsper has shown great resilience, I think, to come through the field. At one stage, he was 5th before the conditions of the conditions changed out on track. He's already made 2 stops as well. So is he going to be at the advantage, or is Recon going to be at the significant advantage of being 10 seconds clear? Kalsper has had a history of running down Recon late in races, and I think that could be the case. Obviously, he's made 2 stops. It's essentially 1 stop against 2 stop here between Recon and Kalsper. It's going to be quite fascinating. But big shout out to Chubbs as well. In 3rd position, the Hassman doing a fantastic job. Arguably his best race that I think we've seen him drive, certainly, in TTL F1 League 1. And within the Challenge Cup, he's making himself known. Storm and Mace, in the meantime, on the back, and Mace just loses it. Storm gets the move done. He just looks like he got caught on the outside curve, I think.
Yeah, it was on the inside, actually, that Mays just lost the back end there and managed to keep the car under control, but at the loss of that position against Storm, Mays now goes down to 10th place and, well, can live to fight another day at least, but his heart rate will have definitely gone up a little bit there. Recon in the lead now, but Kalsper is getting into that gap quite a bit now, almost at just 10 seconds in this race. So Kalsper, we know how good he is in these conditions. We know how good Recon is in these conditions as well. This is going to be a battle of the wet weather warriors.
I think, honestly, in terms of intermediates, we've had a few intermediate races this season. Kalsper has always been quicker than Recon on a set of intermediate conditions. And I think Kalsper has got enough of that gap to try and close in. It looks to me, though, as if this could be quite a quick shower that is coming across the track. Storm, in the meantime, has been overtaken by Mays. It looks like he might have lost it through turn 2. He's now beginning to struggle. But I think, honestly, the sun is trying to break through. I think we're going to turn back to dries. And when we turn back to dries, it's going to be clear as a daylight. It's going to be British weather at its finest.
Very much so. You can see the umbrellas in the stands there. Only a couple of them managed to grab an umbrella on the way out of their door this morning, but you can see now Kalsper in second place, making his way now through that final corner. Now 9.9 seconds. The current champion is trying to reel his way back into this race, and he's got plenty of time on his side.
Yeah, 0.4 of a second has been gained between Recon and Kalsper. I'll just flick on, actually, because Navy is outpacing Chubbs at this stage. Let's have a ride on board. I'm going to compare the top 3 lap times from last time around and see how Navy's getting on and behind Chubbs as well. 41.9 for Recon fresh out the pits. Kalsper with a 41.1. Chubbs with a 42.8. And Navy with a 142 flat. So Navy outpacing Chubbs and Kalsper outpacing Recon.
Well, I mean, that at the moment is meaning that Kalsper's closing in. Navy as well, trying to close in on the back of Chubbs here as we make our way through that right-hander of Luffield, then on towards Woodcote. You can see that Navy getting a little bit wayward on the exit of Luffield there, on the entrance and towards Woodcote. But at the moment, the Dutchman of Navy trying to close in as he makes his way now through Kopp's corner. Very different corner in these tricky, slippery conditions as he now makes his way onwards now towards Maggot and Beckett's. Lovely set of corners here, especially in the dries. Probably one of the most free-flowing corners on the racing calendar. It's so satisfying when you get it absolutely spot on.
Normally, when that's the case for me, I normally spin out at Maggot and Beckett. So this is why I think we're in the commentary box and taking you through the action rather than being out on track, because I wouldn't want to be out there for sure.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, we're nice and dry up in the commentary box. We don't have to worry about wet weather driving. I mean, it's great. We're loving it. Lap 28 of the Challenge Cup race, 100% race here at Silverstone. Recon leads by 9.5 seconds, and Chubbs is massively off there at the final corner, and that gives Navy a position there. Up to third place he goes, and Chubbs here, who hasn't finished on the podium in the last 3 races, give him his due, his first 3 races in the league here, may have just cost himself a little bit of a podium there.
Yeah, he got caught on the curb coming through club at turn 18, and he just ran wide purely. Yeah, I think he tried to take a flat out almost as well. So Chubbs, obviously with that, has now granted Mashiro a possible chance at a P4, and the Japanese man will be hoping to try and get past Chubbs. But a very rare mistake from Chubbs. He's looked very consummate during this race. Navy just gifted a 3 positions, like the partner of the Red Sea again for Navy. He's up to 3rd, and Kalsper is still beginning to gain on Recon. It's 9.3 seconds.
Absolutely, and you can see here Kalsper means business here today. As you can see, Recon just on that minimap now going on towards the hangar straight. He's closing in on Kelvin actually to put laps on drivers soon. I would say within the next 10 laps I would see the Renault closing in and starting to lap drivers. But of course, lap drivers are ghosted instantly, which is a real shame. But, you know, rules is rules, and they have to be ghosted. It's just a thing with the game. I'm not sure I agree with it, but, you know, it's there. What can we do about it?
Well, there's the option, obviously, to turn the ghosting system off. I think it's an option within the lobby settings. And I know for F1 2020, I know people have been complaining about how this is going to run for their leagues. And I think, honestly, having ghosting off is very having ghosting on is very unrealistic. Let the cars get out the way, out on track, without providing a nuisance. And I think it should be left to a manual driver instead of, obviously, it's still manual driving. But in terms of the ghosting system, I think it should be down to the driver getting out the way without any ghosting on. That's my opinion on it.
Chubbs once again getting turns 2 and 3 all wrong there. Just about managing to recover that one, but Mashiro is now closing in. He's struggling himself with the balance of the car. It's not wanting to go in the direction he wants it to for Mashiro at this moment in time, but he's closing in on Chubbs, and especially with that mistake in the Haas there, that's going to allow Mashiro to close in, and that's only going to encourage him even more. Currently there in 5th place, but Recon leading the way by 8.6 seconds, and that's a warning here for Recon. Kalsper's coming.
Kalsper is coming at 8.5 seconds now. I think arguably as well, the rain is beginning to ease off slightly. So obviously these inters are now probably going to reach peak performance. Whether or not we see dry conditions, obviously 15 minutes around here, 20 minutes around here should be what? Lap? Ooh. Where's my maths at? About lap 37, lap 38, I think, if it's going to be dry compound of tyres once again. So keep an eye out for that. The rain is beginning to ease off, the sun is beginning to break through, the blue sky is beginning to come through. Hopefully we're going to see dry conditions, but you never know.
You never know. Absolutely. 23 laps to go here at Silverstone. We're on lap 30 of this race. Recon leading by 8.5 seconds ahead of Kalsper, with the 2 champions here. One of 2 seasons, well, 1 season ago, if you like, and the other of this season. So it's very interesting to see the final battle between these two in TTL F1. We've got 2 champions battling on track. You've also got Mashiro, the current holder of the TTL F1 League 2 Championship, currently in 5th place there. And, you know, I've always been impressed with Mashiro here. He's got a good set of pace about him. I reckon he could be up there in the coming seasons, especially on a brand new game.
Especially on a brand new game. If everyone can maintain their pace, I think we're going to probably have a very good TTML season next season. Obviously, Mashiro was a 2-time defending champion coming into tonight in TTL F1 League 2. I've been really, really impressed by his pace. He's actually outperforming quite a few of the F1 guys here tonight. So really speaks about the right way he's going. And I mean, he's got Chubbs 8/10 up the road. It's just going to be a matter of time. That Mashiro is going to close on Chubbs and probably get past. Chubbs has been prone to making mistakes as well. So that might just be a little worry for him.
Yeah, especially in these tricky, slippery conditions. Oh, Chubbs gets it wrong again on the curb there. And Mashiro backed off quite a lot, actually. I think he was a little bit cautious there, maybe a bit too cautious to try and find a way past Chubbs, but he saw Magnus and Beckett's looming there. You can see the Haas is really struggling in these conditions here. Mashiro now down the hangar straight underneath the advertising board. You can see that the Haas just about has the straight line speed, but Mashiro has the inside line. In towards Stowe corner we go. Chubbs on the outside here. Can he hold on to the position? Yes, he can. Just for now, but Mashiro knows now to put that pressure on the Haas here. Chubbs is struggling.
Chubbs is struggling, and Mashiro now is all over the back of him. Gort, by the way, is in 6th position. I don't think we've given him a mention all night. Gort is running a very, very good race, I think, out on track. Obviously, not caught up in all of that first, well, turn 1 carnage, let's just say. Mashiro, though, is on the back of Chubbs. Chubbs, as I say, has been prone to making mistakes. Hopefully I won't commentators curse him again, and Mashiro's on the back of him.
I think it's too late, James. You've signed, sealed and delivered that commentator's curse. Expect it in around 5 laps' time. Mashiro's still trying to put on the back or put some pressure on Chubbs here, especially in that middle sector. That seems to be where Chubbs is struggling the most. He's also having trouble with the first 2 turns as well. This time around, though, he had a little bit more confidence in the car and of the setup he's got on. And of course, with some drivers, they were probably expecting dry running for a little bit more of this race. Hence, you got the drivers on the hard tyres that came in under that safety car. So they obviously expected more dry running than was previously thought. So they're probably all on dry setups to compensate for that. But actually, if it rains for the rest of the race, that means more than half the race has been in these wet weather conditions.
Yeah, more than half the race would have been in these wet weather conditions. Obviously, if it is going to turn out dry, we're probably going to get just under 2 hours of racing here. Maybe with these inters, we're going to get just over 2 hours of racing. But Mashiro, certainly on the back of Chubbs, beginning to try and close them down. It's old school fashion Formula 1 racing here between the Haas and the Red Bull. And the Japanese man trying to close in. Gort, in the meantime, is getting closed up by Cass. And Kalsper's not really making much inroads on the back of Recon now. It's 7.5 seconds. He's just numbing away. He's numbing away at that gap between Recon and Kalsper. And that is a terrible, terrible pun. I shall be quiet.
Yeah, they say prepare for everything when you step into the box, but I'm not sure I was prepared for that one. Chubbs again getting it wrong, going through turns 1 and 2, and Mashiro there says thank you very much, I'll take that away from you, and another mistake from Chubbs here in these tricky conditions. I think this is a baptism of fire here for the Haas driver.
It wasn't even 5 laps either, the commentator's curse, it was 2.
I said within 5 laps, in my defence. But Mashiro moves up to 4th place. Chubbs is now down to 5th. And maybe that little bit of a relief of pressure there from the Japanese driver behind might help him to just get down there. And Sean is retired from the race.
In the pit lane, yeah. He sped into the pit lane. I'm not sure. He was pulling away from Storm by quite a lot out on track. I wonder if there's something personal going on. I think Sean, yeah, he's left the session. I think somebody might be crying out for attention. And he's picked up some wing damage, actually, as well. So Sean making a mistake, and now he's out of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate for Sean there. He has had a decent season this season. His first season back with Haas after the last season where he lost a little bit of confidence there as he was driving the Ferrari. But there is your race leader, Recon, leading by 7.5 seconds ahead of Kalsper, with Navy in 3rd place there, 11.6 behind Kalsper. That puts him around about 19 seconds behind the race leader. Mashiro in 4th and Chubbs in 5th. This is your closest battle on track at the moment, the battle for 4th place. And to be honest with you, Chubbs has proven himself to be quite a decent driver. He's a quick driver for sure, but there's just some little mistakes he needs to iron out before a new season starts. And as you can see here, by the looks of it, well, from the distance cameras, from the trackside cameras, I should say, it looked like the rain was actually easing off. But as soon as I went on board, I realised, no, it's not.
Rain is beginning to get slightly heavier, I think, to be honest. Mashiro In the meantime, it's defending off Chubb. Yeah, Chubb, I think, has been very consistent since he joined. I think he only joined with 3 or 4 races to go left in the season. So he's been quite a revelation, I think, out on track. He's driving very well. He seems to have ironed out some of the mistakes he was making out on track. Another commentator's curse will come, don't worry. But Chubb, for now, he's certainly beginning to come onto the back of Mashiro and looking slightly quicker. Carlsberg, by the way, I think might have made a huge mistake somewhere through Cops, I think, and he's lost 0.5 of a second to Recon.
Well, we've got a Racing Point who was off there. That was Kelvin just on the exit of Cop's corner. He must have hit the wall because he's got front wing damage, but he's still running in 10th place. And yeah, give Chubbs his credit here. He joined in the last 3 races of this season, finished 7th, 5th and 4th respectively in those last couple of races. So, or at least he finished 4th on track in the last race. He did drop down the order, but it's a marked improvement from him over these last 3 races. And if he can keep up that pace, keep up that momentum into next season, he's got great things coming. Kelvin retiring from the race in the pit lane with that front wing damage. We are now down to 9 runners here in these treacherous conditions. Lap 34 of 52 here at Silverstone. It is Recon who leads by 7.2 seconds ahead of Kalsper. Maybe in 3rd, Mashiro in 4th. We're riding aboard with Chubbs as he tackles turns 1 and 2. Let's see if we can ride on board and put him under a little bit more pressure here as he makes his way through. But no, he gets it lovely and correct that time around. The Gort then in 6th place with Cass in 7th. Stormin is in 8th and Mays is in 9th place. So only 9 runners left in this race, but as long as you can keep it on the track, there's still a good chance you could get your way through. Obviously, there's only 9 runners left, so the chance of a safety car now is slim to none. Although, I have seen a safety car called for extreme wet conditions. We're nowhere near those, but it has happened before.
It has happened before. Obviously, I remember Malaysia 2009 springs to my mind in real life, where we had that absolute monsoon and our points were given back in the day for Malaysia 2009. I just want to come back on board, though, with Kalsper. Kalsper is beginning to eat into this advantage that Recon has built up. It was 7.6 at the start of the lap. It's now 6.7. He's opened up the taps through the first sector, and he's looking quick now. Kalsper, don't rule him out of the win.
No, absolutely not. And thank you as well for joining us for this race. We've got a handful of laps to go here at Silverstone with Recon leading the way. 6.7 seconds is the gap between the 2 leaders at this moment in time. We've got Martin and Christine Underwood. One of the 2, maybe from both, says that they'll be surprised if we don't see the likes of Recon and Mashiro in the top division of the new league. Well, when it comes to the merge of the new league, myself and James will have drivers that will be in the league, and the challenge is to merge these 2 leagues together so that you get the drivers that match the best talent. So we don't really know who's going to be in that top tier, but I assume Mashiro is going to be somewhere near the likes of Recon and Kalsper very, very soon, if not just the division below. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think I've got to concur with that, to be honest. I think we're going to see the likes of Recon, the likes of Kalsper coming back possibly into Division 1 next season. But the important thing to notice is we are merging with TMC. They have a number of quick drivers within their top division. And honestly, I think for us going forward, it's a fantastic thing to see. It's a fantastic thing for these guys as well, because obviously they're going to be challenging new tracks like Zandvoort and like Hanoi as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that happens as well. But honestly, the pace of these guys proving tonight, obviously it's going to be a new game. And I think these guys might just prove themselves to be maybe Division 1, Division 2 drivers. And to be honest, I'll have the pleasure of commentating on them both. And I think we've got a comment in from Andy as well. Your old TTL F1 commentator. Evening, guys. The TTL F1, the final TTL F1 before the merge with TMC. Plenty fun times had commentating on this league, and looking forward to watching the next chapter. There you go.
Absolutely, yeah. I couldn't agree more, Andy. Obviously, Andy and I, goodness, it must have been about season 13, season 14. I'm sure Andy will correct me in the chat there. And then you became his replacement, James. So it's been you and me ever since then. What's that?
I hope I'm doing a good job.
I'd let you know if you weren't doing a good job, but there we go. Oh, treat silence as golden there. Chubbs there, just getting a little bit wayward on the exit of turn 2 again. maybe those rear tyres are starting to overheat very slightly. I mean, the Haas just does not look the car it was in these dry conditions, and obviously that's always going to be the case when it goes from dry to wet. These cars react differently, especially if you've got a dry setup stuck on, but the Haas really looks like it's struggling out there.
Yeah, he's losing time, just a couple of tenths a sector. But Chubb certainly is beginning to struggle again out on track. He's just trying to maintain the consistency of his driving. He's got 13.1 seconds back to Gort. I think he should be honestly taking his time. He'll go snail's pace, to be honest, and still maybe stay ahead of Gort. But Chubb, I think, has just got to try and get this car home. I mean, we're 16 laps from the end of the race, 15 if you're being picky, pretty much. But Recon leading. Kalsper is eating, though, back into that advantage, and I fear Recon might have been put off perhaps by Mays with him lapping himself, but Recon now has lost another 0.5 of a second there, so Kalsper clearly opening up the tap. 6.2 seconds. It's not out of the woods just yet.
It's not at all, no. The rain has eased off very slightly, but it is still there. It's been a constant case of the rain's easing off, but I can see that it has eased off quite significantly compared to one lap ago. You can see the sun breaking through. You see blue skies as well. I wonder if there's going to be some dry running towards this race, as James predicted about 20 laps ago. I think even before the rain started, you were predicting that it was going to be dry running towards the end of this race. But yeah, rain's easing off over the circuit in Northamptonshire, and to be honest with you, Recon leading the way. Now, I'd say that's an advantage for Recon. If the rain's easing up, he'll probably want to be on a dry set of tyres towards the end of this race, and then he'll have some backing here against Kalsper, who's clearly the fast driver in these treacherous conditions, running wide there as we jump on board with the Toro Rosso going through Copse Corner, but he manages to keep it all in check just about. But yeah, that rain really has eased off in these last couple of minutes, and let's see what happens here. Will the rain stay here at this intensity? Will it dry up? Well, it's Britain, and to be honest with you, anything can happen.
Anything can and probably will happen, I think, here at Silverstone, especially with it being the good old British weather like we've come to see. I mean, it's absolutely teeming down in real life as well, where I live. So that's not really great. It's filling me with a lot of confidence, I think, for how the weekend is going to be. But Recon, in the meantime, 6.5 seconds away from Kalsper. I think I made the prediction on lap 29 that it was going to be around lap 37, 38, if I'm not mistaken, for dry running. So I'm not too far off, to be honest.
No, I'll give you credit for that. I'll give you your due. But the rain has started to ease off, so it won't be quite near dry running yet. You can see on those intermediate tyres, there's still spray being given off by those tyres. I mean, the wet weather tyres can disperse 70 litres of water per second on a track like this. The intermediates is around about 25 to 30 litres per second. It's still quite a lot, but obviously they're more prone to waterlogging here. The Gort getting a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. It's a retirement for the Gort there, running in 6th place, the Williams there, but unfortunately his day is done.
Yeah, he was getting caught by Cass, but not by much, to be honest, and Gort obviously feeling the effects, I think, of the 100% race. Maybe it's beginning to take its toll on a few of these drivers. Maybe he thought that the dry compound tyres were going to come on lap 37, like was predicted by me, but he's certainly retired out of the race, and we thank him, obviously, for attending. Good credit, though, goes to Storm and Mays. They're still continuing out on track. They had a very good battle within the first stint when it was dries. But Kalsper is now beginning to try and rein in on Recon, and I think the rain has stopped.
You're absolutely right. The rain has stopped over the circuit here, so that is going to be a huge call for these drivers to make here. Chubbs is closing in on Mashira, and almost as if the rain has gone completely, Chubbs has had a newfound confidence in the car once again, now really closing in on the back of the Japanese driver as he makes his way now, tiptoeing his way through Chapel and down that hangar straight. Mashiro just about staying ahead for now. 0.6 of a second separates Mashiro and Chubbs as they make their way towards Stowe Corner. Who will be the first to blink?
Who will be the first to blink? Honestly, I think it'll be someone like Cass or Storm, perhaps. Obviously, it is coming to dry compound of tyres, but just seeing the replay of the start of the race as well, live on the screen. But Chubbs, in the meantime, is on the back of Mashiro. Andy, by the way, pointed out on a very funny comment, I think, with this. My memory isn't great unless it had been a Wikipedia for the sport itself.
Yeah, I mean, he was a walking Wikipedia. That's how we did know him in TTL F1, that is for sure. Yeah, I'm thinking it was a very difficult one to tell. I was just having a look at that. Obviously, I have a stream alongside watching this one, so I obviously get the luxury of watching this one back. And it looks to me like it's the Toro Rosso starting on the second row of the grid. So So it would have been Vaporeon then, yeah. So looks like it was just a mountain of oversteer on the well, not a mountain of oversteer, but a massive wheel spin moment there. And it was just something he couldn't control. Tried to go up the gears too late, and the rear tyres were spinning up, and in the end couldn't quite make that stick. But you can see here the track is drying up relatively quickly. Still spray being put up into the air as we head through Copse Corner, now heading our way through Maggots and Beckett's. Recon though staying out for another lap here as he makes his way now through that final corner on towards the start, lap 40 of this race. 13 laps to go here at Silverstone.
The beginning of lap 42, I think, is when DRS will probably be enabled. Honestly, I don't think anybody should be risking this coming into the pits. Chubbs, in the meantime, has had newfound confidence, and he's still on the back of Mashiro. He's not close enough, though, to try and get the move done. The Japanese man now beginning to feel the effects of the Brit in behind, and in his home and hallowed turf, Chubbs is now trying to close in on Mashiro. Carlsberg is only 4.8 seconds away from Recon as well. I have a feeling, actually, Carlsberg is now beginning to close in, and when these guys go on dries, who knows what's going to happen.
Well, absolutely. Chubbs really closing into the back of Mashiro now, heading through turn 2. And yeah, you can see he's a lot more confident in that car now that the rain has ceased. Still slippery out on track, still intermediates are the tyres to be on for now. And as we now make our way tiptoe out of the loop in through Aintree, you can see Chubbs has that newfound confidence to get onto the back of Mashiro here. Onwards and upwards towards Brooklands we go. You see Mashiro taking that racing line for now, being brave to get onto the curbs there. Obviously the paint is very slippery on those curbs. You do not want to be on them in those treacherously wet conditions. As you can see here, the Haas of Chubbs still on the back of Mashiro, hounding him down in these closing stages of this race then. As Chubbs here, I wonder, there's a chance for him to get past. Is there a chance of him maybe undercutting the Red Bull, depending on when Jeff thinks it's the right time to call, and of course when the drivers think it's the right time to call. Recon stays out for another lap here at Silverstone to start lap number 41 in the lead. The gap between the two leaders at this moment in time, 4.4 seconds, with 140.9 being set by Carlsberg as he looks to try and close in.
Mays is into the pits, so this might be the first blinking of the eye for a dry set of compounded tyres, but I think this is a lap too early, to be honest. We are seeing limited spray now beginning to come off some of the guys, especially through turns 1 and 2. It's visibly beginning to get quicker, I think, out on track, and we're going to see that delta point come. And as I said, start of lap 42, don't be surprised if it's just beyond that, but that's when we should see the DRS enabled. I mean, Mays is coming out of the pits on a set of softs. Well, I don't know what to make of that, to be honest.
Well, it can happen. I mean, Mays is thinking here that he is now a lap down, and he's just thinking, you know what, why not? No real spray to speak of as he heads out of the pit lane, but I think he'll get a wake-up call as he makes his way in towards turn 3 here. A lot of understeer heading his way through now towards the loop. You can see there, yeah, you can see he hasn't got a lot of grip there. Meanwhile, Chubbs is on the back of Mashiro once again as we head in towards Brooklands, now towards Luffield. As you can see here, there'll be two drivers taking two different lines. Chubbs maybe seeing that inside line, but has to stop the car pretty much there as Mashiro makes his Red Bull the widest car Silverstone has ever seen as we make our way towards Copse Corner, the new turn 9, the old turn 1, as they make their way through here. Nice and steady on the throttle, nice and smooth on the steering arc as well to make sure you tackle that corner with supreme pace here. Chubbs has really gained a new lease in this race. He's absolutely on it now. He's got a huge sense of confidence in that car. Now he could have a go down the hanger straight. Chubbs now on the back of Mashiro here with the ERS no doubt turned up. Down the hanger straight he goes. He'll be on the outside for Copse Corner, and just like that, Chubbs' confidence has returned and he's back up to P4.
It's like he's been reborn in this race, to be honest. I think Chubbs getting the move done. Ran the outside of Mashiro. Fantastic commitment, first and foremost. But for him to come back from numerous amounts of, well, moments out on track where he nearly lost the car, there was significant losses of time in those losers, in that loss of car. But Chubbs now has just got past Mashiro, and to be honest, he's just got past the defending champion as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A great move there from Chubbs, and he moves now up to 4th place. Meanwhile, Recon, 4 seconds is the gap between himself and Kalsper, with Water still out on the track. Obviously not as much as there was before. We've had Maze come into the pits, we've had Storm come into the pits as well, as he struggles his way through Aintree there. And it does look to be a little bit more grip than there was a lap ago when Maze pitted in for a fresh set of soft tyres. And if there are dry runners at the end of this race, they will go onto a set of soft tyres. But there's got to be a cut-off point, surely, in this race, that if they pass lap X, they'll probably stay on the intermediate tyres no matter what.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, these guys will be pitting in very, very soon indeed. I said at the start of lap 42, I'm going to be honest and say probably around 44, 45 now, where we're going to see the DRS being enabled. The track is drying out, but there's still significant amount of spray coming off on these cars, and it's still beginning to get Kalsper into play. 3.7 seconds the gap. It was 4.2, I think, the last time around. So now Recon is now beginning maybe to feel a little bit of pressure. And I've noticed as well with Recon, he's beginning to go over aggressively into the corners. It's not really going to suit him well, and he's going to wear out those tyres quicker than Kalsper behind him.
Yeah, he is, and maybe that's the whole point. Maybe he's trying to use the last up of those tyres, but with more aggressive driving means the higher temperatures, and higher temperatures at this point of the race, when you're trying to keep the tyres cool on a damp track that's got drying patches in places, that's not the ideal strategy. You want to try and keep these tyres cool as much as possible. You'll start seeing drivers here use the outside of the track to pick up some water to keep the tyres under a good temperature, under optimum temperature. Meanwhile, Recon and Kalsper, the gap between them now, 3.4 seconds. And Kalsper is doing everything he can to try and close in here in the last 10 laps of this race. We've got yellow flags going through the loop there, but couldn't quite see who that was, to be honest with you. But now, Chubbs is ahead by Mashiro by 1.2 seconds.
I think the yellow flags might have been for Storm. He's just lost a significant amount of time to Cass. So Storm, I think, it might have been the yellow flag man out on track. Kalsper, 3.5 seconds away. Tell you what, Recon is now beginning just again to feel the patience, and 0.3 of a second has been closed up already this lap. But honestly, it's beginning to look a little bit touch and go. I'm beginning to imagine that these guys could be on inters to the end of the race. I'm not sure. It might turn dry the last 3 or 4 laps, I think.
The last decision here is going to be crucial. Remember, the winner of this race is the only one that's going to walk away with an honour at the end of the night. That's the whole point. There's no points up for grabs. You're going for the win. And this makes this decision even more impeccable, even more crucial than it can already be. Recon, the Dutchman, leading the way, hoping to add to his impressive tally so far. Kalsper hoping to make the double this season. And TTL F1 League 1 win and a Challenge Cup in the same season would be a remarkable way to round this off. He's also won the Constructors' Championship as well this season, so it's not even the double, it's the treble he's trying to go for here as he makes his way through Luffield for the 44th time. Only a handful of laps to go. You can see the spray up the tyres, but going through that long right-hander as we head towards Copse, no spray there. Heading through Copse now, you can see very minimal spray. I wonder who is going to be the first to blink. Of course, if they blink. They don't have to blink. They could go to the end on these intermediate tyres if they really wanted
Recon's
to.
made a mistake. Recon's made a major mistake coming through Maggots and Beckett's. Goodness me, ran all the way wide through the corner. And Kalsper now has just closed up by about a second out on track. Tell you what, I think Dries is probably next lap away.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The Dutchman then under pressure as we make our way through Copse Corner, onwards towards Vale and then towards Club Corner. Does Recon pit in? No, he doesn't. How about Kalsper? He stays out as well. I think it's a case of, for Kalsper, do whatever he does as he now makes his way in through the final couple of corners. The two leaders have a huge advantage over Navy. Kalsper, 27 seconds ahead of Navy. They have an opportunity here to stay out on the intermediates and go with the risk-averse strategy to just stay on the intermediate tyres. Does that then encourage Navy, Chubbs, Mashiro, maybe even Cass to try and go for those dry tyres? I tell you what, Navy's in. He's gambling.
Yeah, Navy's in gambling, and I think that's the right call, to be honest. Chubbs is not going to react Neither is Mashiro. So these guys feel that they could be going for another lap on those inters. To be honest, Navy might have gone maybe a lap, maybe 2 laps too early, but he needs to take a risk and he'll be out, I think, just maybe in behind Cass, I think.
Yeah, what he's got to remember, what we've all got to remember, is that only the winner gets the accolade. So you get nothing for third place. You've got to go for the win, and that's Navy's call now. He's rolled the dice. He's taken a big strategic call here. And you've got to remember as well, the leaders are now making their way in towards Maggots and Beckett, so it's going to be a big ask here for Navy on those soft tyres. But I tell you what, the track looks a lot better than it did 5 laps ago. But still spray off Kalsper's tyres. 2.6 seconds separates him and Recon here. This is going to be a close one.
This is going to be very close indeed. Storm letting through Navy as well. He was a lap down, but Navy is now into P6. Whether he closes up now on Cass remains to be seen. Watch out for the timings. To be honest, I think it's quite level pegging, to be honest. Navy needs to get in on Cass, and that'll be the first indicator of whether it is dry or whether it is inters. I think we're at the crossover point.
I think we are. There's a lot more grip out on track than there was when Maze and Storm came into the pits. You can see there's still a little bit less grip out there on those soft tyres, but I'll tell you what, we're not far away from that crossover point whatsoever. If you're going to stay on the intermediate tyres, it's not a bad call at this point in time, in all honesty. 2.5 seconds stay the gap between Recon and Kalsper. For Navy, though, he's got nothing to lose at this moment in time. He was 27 seconds back from Kalsper, half a minute behind Recon in the other Renault. Chubbs is also into the pits, then Mashiro stays out on a set of those intermediate tyres. And of course, remember, you get nothing for finishing outside of the top 1, if you like. So if you're not leading the race, surely you've got to try and take a gamble.
Yeah, I think Chubbs has probably gambled very nicely here again. He's going to be out behind Cass. Cass is only just coming around the final couple of corners now. Chubbs out of his pit box. Could be quite close, but I think, honestly, the Haas man is going to be behind Cass and maybe even behind Navy. And Navy is catching on Cass, and that is why, because DRS has just been enabled spot on, and Navy is now going to be out, surely, ahead of Chubbs here. Navy is ahead of Chubbs. Fantastic call by the Renault man. Yeah,
that was an important call as well. That will give him the world of confidence as well. But just how much has he gained on the two front runners up ahead, Recon and Kalsper? That's going to be a big one, as we've got Chubbs here, I believe, is around at turn 2. And again, it's caught him out, but I think this time it's the lack of water out on track here as he makes his way onwards towards turn 3. Recon and Kalsper both into the pits then, and I'm sure we'll see Mashiro head into the pits as well. But Navy, meanwhile, is all the way at Luffield here. Of course, he had to take the gamble. He pitted a lap earlier, but it was 27 gaps.
Oh, Chubbs has ran again. He's just doing donuts.
Well, I can't blame him, to be honest with you. He's doing some donuts at the loop there. But there's still a handful of laps in this race to go. Recon rejoins ahead of Kalsper. Mashiro, he's staying out? No, he's coming into the pits, just at the entrance there. Cass and Navy, meanwhile, 4th and 5th, but Navy's closing in at a rate of knots. Ahead of him is Cass. Meanwhile, then Recon and Kalsper rejoin here. But you've got to remember here that as long as the Haas stays there, he's causing yellow flag on the entrance into the loop there, so you can't actually overtake through there at the moment. In fact, you can't overtake all the way through Aintree and halfway up the straight, so he's got to be careful there, that Haas, if he's going to be hanging around there all evening. And he does retire from this race eventually. Just one mistake too far for him, and unfortunately that's the end of his race here tonight. But Recon and Kalsper now separated by just under 1 second, with only a handful of laps to go. 6 to go, 5 if you're picky, or 5 and a bit if you are picky. Kalsper 1 second now. Navy is only half a second behind Cass here, but of course there's those yellow flags, so he can't make the move yet. Now they're green flags.
Yeah, what's Cass doing as well? Cass has stayed out on a set of inters, and Navy just sailed it down the inside. Not really sure what Cass is thinking. Has he seen the DRS enabled? He has to have done.
Well, he's decided to stay out, that's for sure, and get those intermediate tyres to the end. At some point, you've got to stick with whatever decision you're going to make, and for Cass here, it's staying on the intermediate tyres. Meanwhile, Kalsper, with that DRS, is closing in on the back of Recon here. It's so close between the two of them. Yeah, can you imagine a safety car, rain period as well, And in the final 5 laps of this race, it comes down to this. The battle between the 2 leaders here, Recon and Kalsper, both looking to try and add a Challenge Cup as the last honour that they can win here. 5 laps to go here at the British Grand Prix. Recon leads the way by just over half a second.
Both of these, I think, have been the epitome of TTL F1 League One this season. And they've been so consistent. We've seen some very good battles this time. But now they have to leave it on the track. Now they have to really, really fight for this. Because Kalsper and Recon all out of shape actually coming through entry. And now this is Kalsper's opportunity to possibly get a move done. He's a bit too far back. He's not using up any EOS. And I think Kalsper very close to the back. Goodness me. Nearly into the back of Recon. But this is going to be quite intense. 4.5 laps to go.
What will be interesting as well is if either of these two have penalties. That probably will be worth picking up on that one. Recon, though, leading the way ahead of Kalsper. 5 laps to go, 4 and a bit if you're picky, as they now make their way through Copse Corner, through that old turn 1. And I'm sure we'll be able to find out from James what the penalty scenario is between these two.
Yeah, I've just checked. Recon has no penalties. Kalsper has 1 penalty. So Recon actually in a bit of a big advantage out on track.
Storm, meanwhile, speak of the devil, gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Currently they're in 6th place. Meanwhile, though, Kalsper has it all to do. Not only does he have to pass the Dutchman ahead of him, but he has to get 3 seconds clear, at least. Recon, though, is struggling going all the way through Stowe there. And he just has to hold on. Maybe he doesn't have to battle Kalsper so hard, but he's got to be confident that Kalsper doesn't extend that 3-second lead. Mashiro picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. 4 laps to go here at Silverstone. 0.3 of a second is all that separates these two as they enter the closing stages of this race. Kalsper then actually dropping a gear going through turn 1, and that actually cost him a little bit of momentum going through. This battle between Recon and Kalsper, it's been raging on all the way through TTL F1 League One. The tables won't show it, is the way it is, but Kalsper definitely has been putting up a huge fight. Recon going down towards that long left-hander and towards Brooklands and then towards that long right-hander here. Can he try and get the better exit out of Luffield? On towards Woodcote here, you can see Kalsper is all over the back of Recon, but we've seen Recon here hold off pressure before. This won't be anything new to him. He'll be able to try and hold on for as long as he possibly can. He may not necessarily know, though, that Kalsper has that 3-second time penalty, but what a way to bow out of TTL F1. They're the 2 most recent champions battling away till the final race of the final laps 2. I couldn't have put it any better myself.
It's absolutely fantastic, and I think Kalsper may be at the advantage here. Recon has been in front for so long, he might be beginning to lose his laps in concentration. Obviously, these guys have been racing for nearly an hour and a half now, and Kalsper is looking fresher, I think, out of the 2 out in front. So the defending champion against the former champion, well, I mean, 3 laps to go, you couldn't put a hair's breadth between them. Quite literally.
Absolutely not. Recon leading by half a second, then 3 laps to go here in Silverstone, and not making a mistake is crucial here. 0.6, you can see there's so much more confidence from the Dutchman as they made their way through turns 1 and 2 there. You can see quite clearly Recon is much more comfortable going through the first 2 corners there, but he's holding on for now down the Wellington Straight. Kalsper will have some DRS, so that'll help him close in on Recon as we make our way now on towards the long left-hander of Brooklands, then towards Luffield. You can see there the 2 different lines being taken. Recon opting to go a bit wider to try and get the momentum through. Kalsper looking to try and stay tight to the inside to grab the apex of the corner. Both valid ways of taking that corner there at Luffield. Now heading towards Copse Corner. Recon still holding on here, and it's important for him not to get that penalty. Otherwise, he opens a world of trouble on himself. Through Maggots, through Beckett, and then eventually onwards towards Chapel here. Kalsper has a really good opportunity if he can get a good run through here with some DRS. Down the Hanger Straight we go towards Stowe Corner. He's closing, he's gaining. Is he going to have a move up towards Stowe Corner? He moves to the right-hand side, thinks about it, but backs out of it there. And maybe he's thinking, I don't want to give Recon the DRS advantage.
There's a yellow flag in Sector 1 as well. One of the Ferraris is around. I think it might have been Castle Maze, if I'm not mistaken. They'll have to bring out the Castle Maze because they're both Ferraris. Recon just making a slight mistake, and now Calsper is on the back rim. Penultimate lap of the race. I'll tell you what, Toro Rosso is beginning to look all over the back of the Renault here. But remember, he's got to pass and then gain another 3 seconds unless Recon picks up a penalty.
That's going to be the crucial point, isn't it? Recon will be knowing now to keep inside of those white lines at all times. It is so crucial here. Both of these two could be walking away the new Challenge Cup winner. Here's Calsper, though, getting a really good run up towards Brooklands. He's up the inside. Oh, they touch there in towards Brooklands as the Renault runs wide. He's still got the inside line then as we head in towards Luffield for the 51st time. Calsper trying to stick it around the outside. Little bit of contact made, but Recon stays ahead here. Both putting their hearts on their sleeve. They both want this win as much as possible as they head the way through Cops.
Recon, unbelievably, is handling this pressure really well, but Calsper is looking quicker than Recon at this stage. Machine's trying to catch Navy in the background as well, but we have to focus really on this main two battle. Recon and Calsper, they've proven it so much this season. They've battled so hard this season, and now Calsper has got an opportunity down in towards Stowe to try and seal the deal. Can he get the move done? He's going to have to go around the outside here on Recon. The outside might be the line, they touch again, but Calsper's around the outside. Can he get the move done? I think he has. Calsper's into the lead of the race. Phenomenal stuff.
Absolutely, but he's now got to pull a 3-second advantage over Recon here. He's only got 1 lap to do it, but we enter the final lap of this race then. Calsper leads. Will he finish there? The Toro Rosso trying to score the treble here this season of a Drivers' Championship, a Constructors. Speed. And look at the speed of Recon here. Now trying to make his way down the inside in towards turn 3. Not quite the move he wanted there in towards the loop, but he will now have that DRS advantage all the way now up the Wellington Straight. Can he try and take advantage of this? He will want to win this on track. We've got Storm there, I believe that is, who's made a mistake going through Beckett's there. And Recon here has a really good opportunity to take this win away from Calsper here. Calsper knew he had to get past Recon to try and build that 3-second gap. At this moment in time, though, Recon is doing a superb job, a sublime job of staying simply behind Calsper right now. That's all he needs to do. But I know Recon, he'll want to try and get this win out on track. Nothing to do with penalties. That's what he wants as we now make our way towards Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel for the last time in TTL F1 League 1. For the last time on this game, Recon is right on the back of the rear diffuser of the Toro Rosso here. We now head down the hangar straight for the final time. Recon in the slipstream with the DRS wide open. Calsper goes to the inside. Recon looking for a way past. He now has to go round the long way round in towards Stowe. All the way around the outside. Has he got the move done? They're still side by side, heading down Vale in towards Club Corner section. Recon understeering all the way through, but he's got the move done. Recon in the Renault is going to win at Silverstone. As Calsper spins across the line, it is Recon who wins the Challenge Cup. What a race, what a finish, and what battling between these two in those last 3 laps. A huge congratulations to Recon there. Calsper spinning across the line. He gave it his all in those last couple of laps, but that 3-second time penalty was his own downfall. Navy then took the plunge, but actually lost time trying to go onto a set of soft tyres towards the end there to take that risk, but he will take 3rd place in this race then as he crosses the line. 3rd place in the Challenge Cup. Mashiro in towards the line and actually takes 3rd place away from Navy with those penalties then. Cass eventually will come across the line. He's going to finish in 5th place quite comfortably, actually, even with all the penalties in the world. I think he'll be just fine. Storm as well, coming over his way around Stowe Corner. He finishes a couple of laps down, but he'll have made it to the end of a 100% race, and not many people in league racing can say that. Storm now makes his way around the final corner to finish in 6th place in the Challenge Cup. Mays then making his way around. He's finished in 7th place, and Cass makes his way across the line to finish in 5th. But your race winner here at Silverstone for the 100% race, the Challenge Cup, is Recon's.
You couldn't have a more fitting finale than that.
Absolutely not, as Recon just about gets the race win. He won it on track. That's exactly what he wanted. And the Dutchman, the final accolade goes to him. He is the last TTL F1 League 1 Challenge Cup winner.
Recon has actually done over a favour on Calsper as well. The former champion has beaten the defending champion. Don't think you normally see many times like that in TTL history.
Absolutely not. And, well, he'll be absolutely thrilled with himself there. Calsper was closing in with that wet pace, but Recon just about did enough to take the win here and the Challenge Cup away with him. For the final time on the game here in TTL F1 and the final time in TTL F1, here are your official, unofficial results. Recon takes the race win with Calsper in second place. Mashiro, a very respectable third in that race. Navy in fourth, Cass in fifth, with Storm in sixth. Maze making it across the line in seventh place, with Chubbs, the Gort, Kelvin, Sean, Vaporian and Conti all not finishing the race. We do have some information about why the Gort did not finish the race. It was simply because of a headache, so he couldn't carry on. So that's unfortunate. He was running in sixth place at the time, which was unfortunate. However, health comes first, and that's as simple as that. But, well, the end of an era, James. That's it. It's gone. It all flew by.
End of an era, and I couldn't be more grateful, I think, for the battle that we've just seen. Recon and Calsberg, give yourself a pat on the back. Get yourself a very cold drink after this one, if you're allowed to drink, that is, and really celebrate, because that was an unbelievable battle. God, I thought it was going to swing one way, then the other way, and fantastic stuff. Mashima was chasing down Navy late on as well, and the TTL F2, the TTL F1 League 2 man's done a phenomenal job to finish third.
He has indeed. He is definitely one to watch for the future here. So make sure you're watching out for him in the late stages of next season. And speaking of next season, well, we would tell you to follow all the usual social media links, but, well, TTL F1 and TMC will be merging from next season, so make sure you follow the brand new Twitter of @TTML_F1. It's on the screen. I'm still not going to get used to that, but eventually I will, about 3 seasons down the line. But it has been an absolute pleasure. Obviously, I've been a part of TTL since season number 7, and if you go all the way back, two and a bit years ago now, nearer 2.5 years ago, you'll see a difference in quality between the videos then and the videos now. Pre-recorded, it started off at season number 7. I did a little bit of editing and then uploaded the video about a day or two later. It then moved on. I believe it was season 11, took the plunge to start a new channel, to start live streaming. We had Andy come along. He came along, and the rapport was brilliant. And then he unfortunately had to basically take a step back due to time constraints and personal circumstances. James came in and has done a fantastic job ever since, taking a stronghold of both F1 and F2. No matter what cars they've raced in, he's been there to commentate on all of the action. He's been a figurehead of TTTV as well, including CRC, which is, of course, still going ahead unaffected. Make sure you tune in on Saturday as well for that one. But for the last time then in TTL F1, that'll do it from us. But thank you very much for watching. And James, I think you better do this one.
I better do this one?
Yeah,
what
why
do you
not?
mean I better do this one?
I don't know. Say your favourite moment. Go on. TTL
Honestly,
F1.
Favourite moment for me, commentating alongside you.
Oh, the easy way out. Oh, all right.
But
then
honestly, I think on a final note for me, and a more personal note, it's been thrilling to be here in TTTV for the last 2 seasons or so. Been fantastic commentating alongside you, Kieran, and I know Andy's been watching on as well. Hopefully he appreciates all the work that is still being done. And I mean, let's just whet the appetite a little bit more. Recon, Calsper, possibly coming up against Louis next season in TTML. Yes, please.
Yes, please. More of that, please. And obviously, a big thank you as well to Maze for the continued running of TTL as well before the merge. And of course, especially this season, late on at this season, the streams have just the quality of them have gone through the roof. And that's no doubt thanks to Tom as well behind the scenes. He's done a fantastic job with the graphics, worked so hard on them. And honestly, the difference between, here and there, but even between last season, we'd start up the stream, we'd stay silent for about 5 seconds, and then in we go on the lobby screen. Now there's intro music, there's a title card, Tom tells us when to go in to actually start it. It's so much more professional, and I can't understate the amazing work that goes on behind the scenes with him. He's been absolutely fantastic, and with great graphics, with great racing. I mean, it's going to be hard to say goodbye. It really is the end of an era. But I do hope you'll be joining us for TT Masters League next season on a brand new game with the likes of the Netherlands and Vietnam to visit. You really don't want to be missing out on the next season. Make sure as well, once again, follow TTML on Twitter. It hopefully is on the screen right now. You can also follow myself on Twitter at KS McGinley. Good luck with that. You can also follow James on Twitter as well at B52Head. From both myself and James, thank you very much for watching. And for the last time in TTL F1, I've been Kieran McGinley.
I've been James Head.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next series.